Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome from a very cold Stellenbosch to this webinar tonight to study plant and soil sciences at the Faculty of Agri-Sciences. We've got quite a heavy program, not a heavy program, a long program, a filled program. Oh, and now it doesn't want to share. There we go. Sorry, my apologies for that. You will see that we've got quite a program that we are going to offer you. Dr. Shanae Viljoen is going to start off with just an overview of the program Plant and Soil Sciences, because I don't know if you know, but there are actually 4 programs that you can do. And it's sometimes very confusing for a student, and she will give you an overview so that you don't have any concerns anymore. We will then give you an overview from the different departments that make up the Plant and Soil Sciences program: soil science, plant genetics, plant pathology, agronomy and horticulture. And then I think the most exciting part is that we're going to have a student panel where you can ask all your questions and all your fears or everything that you need to know. You don't have to wait until the end before you start posting your questions. We've enabled the chat room for you. So please do fire away with all the burning questions. We did receive quite a number, and we will address it throughout the program. And hopefully you will see by the end of the program that the opportunities, because we received many questions about that, that the opportunities that you can do by following a program within plant and soil sciences is across the spectrum, and it's exciting, and it's wonderful opportunities that exists and that you would be able to follow. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Shanae Viljoen that will give you a curriculum detail and a program overview. Shanae, all yours.
Good evening. Thank you very much for that introduction. Let me just share my PowerPoint with you guys so that you also see that. Yes, I'm Shanae Viljoen. I'm from the Department of Agronomy. While we get this PowerPoint loading, I will give you sort of an overview of the plant and soil sciences. I'm the program coordinator, and I usually say that's just a fancy way of saying that I ensure that we all of the different disciplines speak from one voice. So it doesn't really, that's about it. All right, so let's get right into it. I thought I would start off with this question. What is the plant and soil sciences? And the reason that I do that is because there's a difference between a BSc Agric and a B Agric degree. Let me just get my mouse here. The difference is the one you study at Stellenbosch University and the other one you study at Elsenburg Training College. So the BSc is offered by Stellenbosch University and the B Agric is offered by the training college. We have a lot of collaborations between the two institutions, but the end goal of the students attending each of these institutions is quite different, and that's why I wanted to bring this difference to you, or this difference to your attendance this evening, because it makes quite a difference further along in your study. So Stellenbosch, the BSc degree, offers a scientific foundation, and that is required if you want to continue your studies or go into a position as an agriculturalist. It will provide you with a scientific background to conduct trials and then go into research and development type positions. Elsenburg, on the other hand, offers training to pursue careers that is a bit more practical and management orientated. And if you choose to follow this path, you will not have the scientific foundation to continue into a master's or a PhD program. So both institutions equally important, but the students that they produce end up in very different career paths. And I thought I'd just make that clear from the beginning so that so that you at least have that knowledge going into making that decision where you want to go. Okay, so this evening I will focus on the BSc Agric offered by Stellenbosch University. Okay, so if I take a step back and we look at the South African education system as a whole, it consists of 2 parts, the basic education system and the higher education system. And these are linked by what we call the National Qualifications Framework. So by the end of grade 12, you will have, or if National Qualification Framework is also shortened to NQF. So by the end of grade 12, you will have left school with an NQF level of 4. When you pursue a degree at Elsenburg, for instance, the BA Greek, it's a bachelor's degree which offers, or which is an exit level NQF at 7, compared to a BSc offered here at Stellenbosch University, which is a professional bachelor's degree at an NQF level of 8. Now, why the distinction? If you do the 4-year BSc Agri degree, you can go directly into a master's program. You don't have to do an honors before you do a master's. So you'll see, if you study the BSc Agri degree, it's a professional bachelor's degree, NQF level 8. It's the same as a postgraduate diploma, which is also an NQF level 8. It's the same as an honors degree, which is also an NQF level 8. So you can go directly from your professional bachelor's degree into a master's. If you, for instance, do a bachelor's degree in the science faculty, for instance, microbiology or purely genetics, just as examples, you'll first have to get into an honors, complete your honors degree, and then go into master's. So you have that, that's an advantage of studying a 4-year BSc Greek degree. Okay, so all of the information that I will present tonight is on the website that is displayed there. If you click on that, or if you go to that website, it'll bring you to this screen. If you then click on Study with Us, there's an undergraduate and a postgraduate option that you can choose, and then it'll bring up this these two boxes or whatever, and you can click on that to get further information. So I'm going to speak, and I want you to please take out your phones and scan these QR codes so that you have the information with you. What this is, it takes you to the yearbook. So I have a printed copy right here in my hand. My colleagues don't necessarily always agree with me, but I always tell the students that the yearbook is your best friend, because everything that you want to know, you can find in this yearbook. So I hope by now that you have actually taken a picture or used the QR code. So there's either the Afrikaans one or the English one. And what the yearbook then essentially does is it gives you information about the faculty. So that's on page 3. It gives you a layout of each of the programs, which we will go through tonight, and then a description of each of the modules at the back of this yearbook. Okay, so then it brings me to, where does the plant and soil science program fit in? We are part of the Faculty of Agri-Science, so this entire book is based on the Faculty of Agri-Science. There's bachelor's programs, and 7 of them, and we are one of those programs. So within plant and soil sciences, there are 3 main streams that you can follow. A crop production stream, which has 2 options, a crop protection and breeding, which is a dual major, and then a soil and water management, which is also a dual major. Now, I'm not sure who is all familiar with the term a major. And so if you know what a major is, this next section might not necessarily be for you. If you've done your homework, you know what a major is, that's fine. But sometimes a major can become quite difficult to comprehend, or it is not difficult, but I thought of an easy way that I can share how to explain what a major is. It's like attending a sports camp, and you are introduced to a variety of different sports, and you're trying them all, and you really enjoy what you're doing. And then by the end, hopefully, there are 2 that you are either really good at or that you really enjoy. And ideally, if it's both something that you enjoy and that you are really good at, that is first prize. So similarly, if I take that back to studying plant and soil science, or any university degree basically, is in your first year, because this is a science foundation degree, you will get to do with quite a lot of scientific or basic science modules. So your your chemistry, physics, mathematics, whatever. So you'll not necessarily go into your focal areas. And so a major, if I can just continue to the next slide, is what we then, if we link it up to industry, is what we call either sectors or disciplines. And so within the Faculty of Agri-Science, there are sectors: animal science, agronomy, viticulture, enology, horticulture, forestry and wood science, and serviced by various disciplines: agricultural economics, soil science, genetics, and biotechnology, plant pathology, food science, and conservation, ecology, and entomology. If we then, sorry, I see a comment not hearing. I hope you all can hear me. But anyway, if I look then at the plant and soil science program, the first major that you'll have is based on a crop choice or a sector. So you'll either choose agronomy, viticulture, oenology, or horticulture, and then serviced by a variety of disciplines. So that will then lead to something that we call a dual major program or a triple major program, which we will go through in just a little bit. Okay, so which program then are you studying? The Plant and Soil Sciences has 4 focal areas. That's those streams that I talked about. And the crop production one has 2 options. The first crop production system option is a triple major. This is a set program. It means that you can't choose your majors, or you can't choose your modules. This is set as it is there. So you will take agronomy, agricultural economics, and animal science. That's your triple major crop production system. Then the second crop production system is a dual major. So that is agronomy or a crop choice with a discipline. So agronomy, horticultural science, or grapevine sciences, and then either entomology, plant pathology, agricultural, or agricultural economics. So it's a crop choice serviced with another discipline, dual major, 2 focal areas. Then we get to the crop protection and breeding, with plant pathology as your first major, and then either entomology or genetics as a dual major. And then finally, we have the soil and water management, which is essentially soil science, and then you pair that with a crop choice. So either agronomy, horticultural science, or grapevine science. So those are the 4 options that we then have. All right, then then the question obviously arises, so how do I get in? How do I form part of the plant and soil science program? So the specific admission requirements, again, in your yearbook. First of all, you'll need an average of 60%, excluding life orientation. You'll need at least 50% in your language, so Afrikaans or English. Then mathematics is 60% average, and physical science a 50% average. These are the minimum requirements. So one must remember that this is selection based. And so we do have a lot of space, but we don't have unlimited space, in the sense that there's labs, and each student needs to be able to work sufficiently, so we can't accept everyone. So please do your best. Like I said, it is selection based, so these are minimum requirements. The better you do, the better your chances is for getting into the program. If you do not meet the requirements, there's what we call an extended curriculum program. Maybe I should quickly start off with what is an extended curriculum program. So it was introduced to assist students with a proven potential, but without the adequate schooling in mastering their degree programs. So what this essentially means is, like I said in the beginning, because this is a science-based degree, the first year is essentially split over 2 years. So it just ensures that everyone, all of the ECP students, they get a solid foundation to mastering the science foundation on which they then build there. So you still exit the degree with exactly the same as the mainstream degree course. So the admissions for the ECP program then is an average performance of 60 again, home language of 50, mathematics between 55 and 59.9, and then physical science between 45 and 45.5% average. Okay, and then I know there are insanely, or the amount of questions that we received based on career opportunities were quite a lot. So this is not even half of the opportunities that you are will be able to pursue when you finish your degree. This is literally a snapshot. I just added a few here because I think each of the presenters, as we go through the evening, will share the specific opportunities within their discipline. But the demand for students leaving Stellenbosch University with a plant and soil science degree is a lot higher than what we supply. So the students that leave university don't struggle to find a job. So I put only a few logos on here, but there are many more, and I encourage you to actually ask the presenters, that's for my colleagues, to share, and I'm sure they will share the opportunities that they have within their specific disciplines. So that's it from my side as an overview. I would now like to hand over to Dr. Esther Moema from Soil Science. So I'll stop sharing my screen so that I can allow her to share her screen. Dr. Moema. All right, I'm wondering if we should perhaps go to genetics. Esther, can you maybe just give me an indication if you are... I can't see. Okay, I think just for the sake of time, yes, please, Cecile. Cecile is from Plant Genetics. So over to you, Cecile. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cecile Bester. I'm from the Department of Genetics. So just to give you a quick overview. Sorry, let me just go to the next slide. There we go. Just to give you a quick overview of what it is that we do research-wise. I don't know if many of you will recognize this plant. You might have seen it on the beach. But what you don't know is that this is actually related to something that you use every day. So this is called Thinopyrum disticum. It's one of the species that I work with, and it is also known as seaweed. So what we can do is we can make crosses with this species naturally to common bread wheat in order to improve it. And this is one of the examples of how you can use genetics to improve crops and to create better varieties. So we mainly focus on the genetic information, and we have quite evolved in the terms of the genomic information that's available. And just take note, I'm referencing wheat now a lot. It's just because I work on it, but you can apply this to any crop. So what we essentially do in genetics is we take a look at these genes and try to see which of them we can use in order to create better plants that are disease resistant, more tolerant towards certain climatic conditions, better nutrition, etc. And then we're also entering an era, and I hope this video plays, where we have quite a lot of phenotypic information at a much larger scale. So this is the scans of wheat plants from our very own trait finder. And it's a multispectral scanner which scans the plants and give us information on a big in-depth level. And we can correlate this to the genetic information in order to better see what genes do what. So what can you expect during your degree? You can expect to have a combination of certain lab skills, so molecular skills, as well as just learning how we grow crops, what impacts crops, etc. So it's quite a nice combination of being in the field, being in the lab, and being in front of the books, I think. What can you expect after your degree? As Sharnai said, there's quite a lot of opportunities. You can become a plant breeder in any crop. You can, if you enjoy the lab more, become a molecular biologist. You can become a consultant. You can go work for quite a number of companies in South Africa. So there's a lot of opportunities. Yeah, thank you. That's all from my side. You're welcome to take a look at our website as well. And email me if you have any additional questions that I didn't get to.
Thank you very much, Cecile. Okay, we will go on to Dr. Lindy Rose from Plant Pathology.
I can just have an indication that the presentation is visible to everybody.
We can see and hear you clearly.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time this evening to be with us. My name is Lindy Rose, and I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Plant Pathology. Not changing over on my side. Has it changed over on your side? There we go. So I think we all know that plants get sick. And as plant pathologists, we are often referred to as plant doctors, scientists who are plant doctors. We've also been referred to as plant detectives. I also quite like the idea of being a plant CSI. And these are all just terms used to describe basically what we do. In the last decade or so, there's been a significant focus on plant health as an integral part of this One Health idea. The idea that healthy plants means healthy people, means a healthy environment. On the 12th of May, so just last week, we celebrated the Day of Plant Health. And these were just kind of ideas and congratulations that people from around the world shared in terms of highlighting the importance of plant health as a significant contributor to the overall health of humans, animals, as well as the environment. I think many of us know that plants do get sick, but we don't often think about it, and perhaps we don't often hear about it. In this instance, I want to say that this is a good thing, because when you do hear about plant pathogens that are causing a significant impact in the world, it's big news. So these are just a couple of news clippings that has highlighted where plant pathogens has become world news. Our coffee being ravaged by a rust fungus. Those of you perhaps in the Western Cape and elsewhere where citrus is produced in South Africa, knowing about the impact of citrus black spot on our significant citrus industry, also where the banana has been threatened to be wiped out by a fungus. So I want to say, when you don't hear about plant pathogens and you don't hear about plant diseases, no news is good news, because when you do hear about it, it really has a significant impact, whether this relates to food security or food safety, or affects us at a financial level. So just briefly, as plant pathologists, we are interested in studying the microorganisms as well as the environmental conditions that cause disease. We are very much interested to know how they cause disease, what the exact effect on the plants are. And of course, we don't just stop there. We really want to understand and look at methods of managing and controlling that disease. Now, I want to say that at the very basic level, we are all plant pathologists. We are able to see visible, detectable expression of abnormality when a plant or a fruit or a vegetable simply does not look the way we know it should look and the way it's intended to be. Whether we see little leaf spots or blight, fruit spots or blight. So in this way, we all have a little bit of plant doctor in us. What is maybe a little bit more difficult for some of us to see is that sometimes the microorganism itself is also capable of showing us visible parts. So I think many of you have cut through an apple and the core is rotten. I think the example of the orange with the white mold that turns to green mold is also something that we know well. So in this case, we diagnose plant diseases by looking at an observable part of the pathogen together with the symptoms, abnormal signs of the fruit or the vegetable or the plant. I would like to also share with you that we really believe plant pathology is an applied science. It requires looking at the plant, looking at the fruit, looking at the vegetable. It's not something that can be done from an office or a lecture hall. And so with that, I want to say that students do get very good practical training coupled with theoretical knowledge from lecturers, us as lecturers, who actively conduct research for the agricultural industry. And I think that's an important message. It's once you leave school, you leave teachers behind. When you come to university, the lecturers in front of you are, for most intended purposes, are people who are conducting research in that field, who are there to facilitate your learning. So that is really what we want to do. But there is very good practical training matched with theoretical knowledge. And then these are just a couple of examples of where we work. Obviously, orchards, vineyards, pack houses, the soil. It doesn't matter what the fruit, the crop, the vegetable is. We go where we are needed, as what plant doctors do. And as you can see, we also have a lot of fun doing so. I thought it might be interesting to show you some of our graduates, not that you would know their faces, but it would be interesting to see where they have ended up. And many of these are not your typical industries where we thought plant pathologists will end up, but as time changed, so the need for plant pathologists changed. So we have a couple of graduates that are sitting at different international agrochemical companies. Some have remained in research, others do consulting, others have moved into biotechnology. There are, of course, opportunities in government, at universities, at agricultural research companies. And I want to echo what Shanae said. This is a drop in the ocean in terms of the opportunities and where graduates are able to find work. So again, just a snapshot of some of our collaborators. As I mentioned, we work very closely with the agricultural sector. Our research is very practical. Our students get very practical experience. And so it's important to have the input of these agrochemical companies. And so with that, I would like to thank you. I hope that you would reach out and enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Lindy. Next up is Professor Pieter Swanepoel from the Department of Agronomy. Lindy, if you can just stop sharing. There we go. Thank you.
All right, good evening to you all. Just quickly still trying to get it to presentation mode. There we go. Shanae, all good? Can you hear
All
me?
good. You can, yes,
Right.
you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, my name is Pieter Swanepoel. I'm the chairperson of the Department of Agronomy, or Departement Agronomie. So I'm going to give you a short overview. What we do at the Department of Agronomy deals with annual agronomical crops and how you produce them and how you manage them. So all about the production physiology and production technology. What you need to do as a farmer to produce annual crops, opposed to the Department of Horticulture, who focuses on perennial crops. We do the annual crops, and I'll give you an overview of our strengths in the department. We'll also give you an idea of the type of crops that we deal with. So our first focus area in the Department of Agronomy is conservation agriculture. And there's vegetable production under protection, vegetable production in the field, weed science, future crops, and cultivated pastures. So firstly, let's talk a bit about conservation agriculture. This is also very tightly aligned with regenerative agriculture, it is a set of management principles that is more sustainable than alternative or the old conventional way of farming. So it deals with minimum soil disturbance, so no tillage, for instance, and then also covering the soil with crop residue or an organic soil layer or cover crops, and then also diversifying the systems opposed to monocultures. So maize monocultures, maize on maize every year in and out is not a sustainable practice, as an example. So we try to diversify the systems by cultivating multiple crops, either from the one year to the next or in association in 1 year. You can also produce multiple crops. And we're very well developed with conservation agriculture in the Western Cape, in the winter rainfall region, with wheat, barley, canola, and so on. This is also what this picture is about, some of the trials. But it's also gaining significant traction in the summer rainfall region, where maize and soybean, sunflower, and other crops are also produced in conservation agriculture systems. So that's the grains and the oilseed crops. Then our second strength is protected vegetable production, or production of intensive production of vegetables. And the three big crops there include cucumbers, tomatoes, and peppers. We also have the Horti Demo Center, and when you visit us, whenever next year, or you're welcome anytime, you can also visit the Horti Demo Center. We can show you ultra modern technology on how to produce vegetables under protection. We've also partnered with multiple industry partners or companies that also support us with research and this state-of-the-art technology that we can demonstrate to students. Then not all vegetables are produced under protection. So some of them, like potatoes, are produced in the field. Carrots, pumpkins, and so on are also produced in open field production systems. So that's our third strength. Then weed science. So Dr. Viljoen, you've met now, is our weed scientist, and she is so weeds is probably the number one thing that compromised sustainability of these production systems, and an integrated approach is really needed to ensure that the weeds don't compete or outcompete crops. So an integrated approach includes agrochemical, or may include agrochemical use, with alternative agronomical and other tactical or strategic approaches to manage weeds. And we're particularly strong on weed science, as it is such an important part of these production systems. Then our fifth focus area is what we call future crops. It also includes underutilized or orphan crops, cassava, Bambara groundnut are some of the underutilized crops or alternative crops. And then also the niche crops like the berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries are also falls under one of our focus areas. And then lastly, cultivated pastures, also linked with the with animal production. So producing pastures for dairy cattle is a very common, a very important part of South African agriculture, but also pastures for sheep and beef production systems, and even also veld or rangeland. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. We can also in the Q&A question ask, you're welcome to ask more questions if it's not clear, but we serve the agronomy sector. And one of the strengths that we have is that this is now general in the faculty, is that we have double majors with disciplines, including soil science or plant pathology or whatever. And that just gives us the students a better opportunity to align with their interests in industry, but also to be better well-rounded, so that you can go into the industry with confidence and be impactful one day and make a difference in our agricultural environment. So to summarize, if you where agronomy fits into the undergraduate offering is within 3 of the programs. So these are all part of the plant and soil science program, but you can study crop production systems with agronomy as a crop choice, and then you combine it with either entomology or genetics or plant pathology or agricultural economics. Then secondly, crop production systems with agronomy, agricultural economics, and animal science. This is the only 3 or the triple major option that you have in the faculty. And then lastly, soil and waters management with agronomy as a crop choice. Then job opportunities. Once again, there are the demand for agronomists exceeds the supply. There's a lot of opportunities for agronomists in the industry. Our students enjoy a high demand and they get jobs very easily. And it includes the fertilizer industry. Fertilizer industry is not only these days inorganic fertilizers, but also biological fertilizers. Then the seed industry is huge, and that includes all the seed companies or the potato industry or AB InBev, the old South African breweries producing beer and so on. So they take a lot of agronomists in. Then the agrochemical and biological industries with a link to the crop protection industry. And then there's a whole range of other opportunities in the public and the private sector, like agricultural businesses or the co-ops, research and development, and in government and academia. There's lots of opportunity there. And then again, like Dr. Rose also said, it's important that we make sure we're aligned with the industry. So we have strong industry partnerships, and we take the students out to meet the industry and rub shoulders with industry, so that by the time you graduate, you have a good understanding of what the possibilities and the options are for you. So they really enjoy it. And by the time you walk out with a degree in agronomy, the students enter the industry with confidence, and yeah, they can really be impactful in the agricultural industry. Right, that's my story.
Thank you very much. And next up, let's see if we can get Dr. Esther Moema ready.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me, Shanae?
Yes, I can hear you, and your screen is busy sharing, so you can continue. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and sorry for the hiccups that I had at the beginning, and also my camera is not working, but I'm glad to interact with you to talk about soil science, where we carry out soil and water management training. So have you ever taken time, I'm trying to see, yes, have you ever taken time to wonder if soil science is important? I want you to take this time and think about the breakfast that you took today, your lunch and your dinner, supper. if you've not had your supper. Pretty everything that we eat is actually grown on soil, or it's something that grows on soil. I also want you to think about climate change. Soils store more carbon than the above ground biomass, and at the same time, we can lose this carbon if we do not carry out, if we carry out poor management practices. But if we can manage to store this carbon in soil, then we can reduce the effects of climate change through reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. I want you also to think about the water that we drink. Soil is the medium that absorbs, stores, and transfers the water to the ground reservoirs and also to the dams. And so you can imagine if we mess up the soils, or if soils are messed up, then we will not have any clean water to drink. Also in the medical fraternity, most of the antibiotics are discovered from the soils, just emphasizing on the importance of soils. And therefore, there is, at the same time, soils are mainly degraded, not only in South Africa, in Africa, but globally. But there is growing awareness on the importance of soils and taking care of soils, good management practices to ensure sustainable soil management, to ensure continued food production, and taking care of effects of climate change. And therefore, soil resource is finite, is non-renewable resource, and therefore there is need to come up with or to manage soils in a way that we can ensure sustainable food production and stability in climate change. And this is central to the Department of Soil Science. Just again, trying to emphasize the importance of soils. If you think about the Sustainable Development Goals or the European Green Deal thematic areas, most of the goals, such as the zero hunger or from farm to fork in the European Green Deal thematic areas, other goals such as the clean water sanitation, zero pollution, toxic-free environment, think about the life on the land or the biodiversity. So most of these goals or the thematic areas, they are either, soils is either directly or indirectly linked to them, just trying to emphasize the importance of soil science. So if you love working if you love nature and working outdoor, if you love making a difference to the planet Earth, to leave it better than we found it, and if you love getting your hands dirty, you have your place in the Department of Soil Science. It is a 4-year degree, which is an applied science. Our graduates are highly employable, and there are a variety of careers that you can pursue if you graduate with a degree in soil science. And these are just some areas where you can work. You can be a soil surveyor, trying to design different uses for different lands or different land types. You can be an irrigation consultant, working again across different departments. You can work across departments such as agronomy as an irrigation consultant, perennial crops, horticulture. So as a soil scientist, you cut across, or you can work in different sectors. You can work as a soil fertility consultant. You can work as a soil preparation consultant. You can work as an environmental consultant. You can also work as an ecological consultant. You can also work in the mines, trying to come up with options or solutions to rehabilitate the mines. You can work as a researcher. And last but not the least, you can also work with communities out there as an outreach officer, just trying to help the communities to grow their food. And with that, I want to invite you to consider taking up your degree in soil science. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moema. Next up is horticulture, Dr. Esme Lau.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Esme Lau over here at Horticulture. I'm about to share with you. Let's see if I can get this up. Shanae, is that showing on your side?
Yep, everything. I can hear you and I can see you, so you can continue. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yes, last but not least, I want to introduce the Department of Horticultural Science. And maybe before I start, I want to take a moment, while my colleagues have done such a fantastic job indicating what they do, maybe a good place for me to start is to indicate how we are similar and perhaps different from what they do. So we are all plant-minded. We also enjoy working with plants, understanding plants, that we have in common. But we perhaps differ from our colleagues at natural sciences, perhaps in the botany department over there, that over here we are interested in plants with a commercial intent. We want to grow and cultivate plants to make a profit from that, to make a living from that, obviously also to provide food, but definitely also to make a living from that and to contribute to the South African economy in that way. We differ from perhaps agronomy, as Peter has pointed out earlier, that we are more interested in perennial crops. In other words, crops that survive and live more than 1 year and produce crop year upon year, typically what you will find in an orchard or in a vineyard. So those are your meerjarige plante in Afrikaans. And you can imagine that that is a different setup compared to the agronomists. In my next couple of slides, I want to share with you the journey of a 4-year degree, BSc Agric degree with horticulture as one of your dual majors. As Shanae has pointed out, this is a professional degree. We have scaffolded our 4 years to really equip students right from the basics through to the very applied. We start off in the first year with some basic biology. In the second year, we build on that, where we talk about applied things like plant propagation. I'll say a little bit more about these different areas in a moment. And then in our third year, this is our crop year, where we introduce specific crops to the students and look at biological and productive aspects of that specific crop. And then in the fourth year, we return to very deep physiology. As a horticulturist, we manipulate plants with that commercial intent. And the only way that you can successfully manipulate something is if you truly understand it and really understand the physiological workings. Then you will know which buttons to press or levers to pull to get to your optimum product year upon year, high quality year upon year. So that we return to in the fourth year. So back in the first year, the first module, the first contact that you will have with horticulture comes in your second semester of your first year in the form of an introductory module in applied plant sciences. Biology or life sciences is not a prerequisite for our degree. In other words, the students might not be some students might not be introduced to the biology of plants yet, and we really meet the students where they are in terms of their knowledge. We go back to plant classification systems, plant morphology, plant anatomy to really get that basic cemented and ready for the second year. In second year, the more applied stuff starts with plant propagation. As I said, with a commercial intent, we're not just studying or looking or producing one plant, not 2, not 10, not hundreds. We need thousands of plants to put into our orchards, and hence we need to be able to propagate plants that all look exactly the same and can produce in exactly the same manner. We look at different types of propagation, clonal propagation, cuttings, grafting, layering, seed propagation, as well as tissue culture in second year. Third year, this is the big crop year. We make a very firm start with deciduous fruit crops here in the Western Cape. I think we are all very familiar with pome fruit and stone fruit, apples, pears, plums, peaches, nectarines, etc. Our deciduous fruit, these are blattwisselende bome, in other words, fruit trees that lose their leaves in winter and then go through a period of dormancy and then start all over again in spring with flowering, etc., etc. So our deciduous fruit production, we first expose them to industry worldwide as well as locally, and then we take the students through the horticultural practices to nurture both the vegetative growth and the reproductive growth of these trees, in order for them to really understand how one goes about cultivating deciduous fruit. The second one up is citrus production. We're really following that same recipe of exposing the students to industry, vegetative and reproductive growth, but we are now dealing with evergreens. So these are not deciduous, they keep their leaves. Obviously, their physiology and their reserve status and the whole way that they operate is quite different. And we need to understand that. This is also a very big industry in South Africa. So students are well equipped with citrus knowledge by the end of their degree. Avos and macadamias, there's also a solid module in that. We all sometimes call this the new kid on the block. The avocado and academia industries from up north has contacted our department a couple of years ago, really wanting to start what we call a knowledge partnership, where they are now at the point where they are funding a research and teaching position in our department to really equip students to be able to work in the avocado and macadamia industry of South Africa, which are also huge, significant industries for our country. So we are again using the industry and the vegetative growth and reproductive growth approach here to really teach the students about these exciting subtropicals. And then we also have a very popular ornamental plant production, and this is where we do dabble a little bit into annual crops, especially in terms of cut flower biology. We have a course, this course also specifically looks at fynbos production, our beautiful Proteaceae in the Western Cape, and also potted plants, etc. This is really where the student learns all about that, pre-harvest and post-harvest aspects of this, as well as herb production. Then moving on to the fourth year, you'll remember I said this is the deep physiology year, where it's important that the students really grasp all the physiological aspects of all the crops and propagation and horticultural processes that we have taught them up to now. So our first module here is a tree physiology and architecture module that really spends time delving deep into growth and development. We actually start in the nucleus of the cell. And then we work our way out into the plant, into the tree, and then by the end of the semester, we complete the course by looking at planting systems, where the students are no longer seeing a single plant, but actually see an entire orchard as a planting system that is almost functioning like a factory to produce our produce that we will be selling to a customer. So that's the whole idea, understanding the physiology in all those aspects in this module. Another one is post-harvest physiology. Obviously, the minute you remove the fruit from the tree, a whole new science starts. You've got a biological product that you need to preserve, that you need to export, that you need to get to a customer's fruit basket in the best possible condition. And there's a lot of biology involved again here. Respiration biology, there's when do we pick, what is the maturity indexing, how do we store our fruit, controlled atmosphere, weird and wonderful techniques that already exist. The fruit that we are eating, or the apples at least, that we are buying in shops these days are last season's fruit because we have been able to really store them well and supply year round. Packaging and shipping, post-harvest defects, etc. And the pictures really tell the story here of how hands-on the students are when they do these modules. Ecophysiology is another step into physiology. Plants cannot run away. They need to deal with that. They've got to grow where they are planted. They need to deal with whatever is thrown at them. Hence, they've got a very specific relationship with the environment. And that is important to understand in terms of photosynthesis, transpiration, water relations, stress physiology. And I always say this is the module with all the gadgets. There are so many fantastic equipment these days to measure the response of a plant to its environment, and the students really get to experience that firsthand. And our last fourth year module in terms of specific content is on nutrition. It's obviously important that if we want to cultivate these perennial crops, that we make sure that we feed them correctly in terms of their nutritional needs. Flow and transport, carbohydrates, root anatomy, micro and macro, nutrient uptake, all of those things. And again, the deep physiology understanding of how that works to ensure that we are delivering the best product. And then lastly, I do want to say something about our fourth year research project. This is actually a module that cuts across all of the other departments as well. It's a module hosted by our department, but the fourth year students also get to select in which of their majors they want to do a research project. This is a year-long module where we expose the students to the research process, literature review, scientific writing, experimental design, statistical handling of data, actual execution of a project, and then wrapping it up in an article and presenting your scientific work as well. So this is really giving them a good taste of what research is like and being able to operate as a scientist in their job one day. Right, our student numbers, just very quickly, our fourth year, normally around 30 to 40 students in our fourth year. These are small classes. We really pride ourselves in understanding and knowing our students very well. We've got a very personal academic relationship with these students. We see them, especially 8 o'clock morning lectures, you can tell a lot about them, whether they've had a late night, if there's a new boyfriend, if there's a new tattoo, we get to see all those things. We really enjoy our students, and we want to be part of their education and their student life. And then lastly, in terms of jobs, the Government Gazette in 2002 has actually acknowledged agricultural scientists as a scarce skill in our country. So this cuts again across all the disciplines. It is a scarce skill. In other words, there are not enough of these skilled people around. Hence, our students really find jobs quite easily. Normally, our fourth year have got their jobs lined up before they complete their final year and their final exams. And up on the screen, I just want to again echo the job opportunities in horticulture, because we literally function from farm, even before farm, nursery, breeding, all the way through to the fork, the consumer at the end. There's plenty of job opportunities along that entire chain. And there's so many crop types as well to work from. So that just multiplies again the job opportunities out there. And with that, I want to leave it and thank you for your time and wish you luck in your decisions. Also, if there are any learners online, good luck with the June exams that are knocking on your door. All the best for that and making your decision about this exciting future that's ahead of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Esme. That was a very nice end off for the sections based on the overview from the different departments. And so now we get to what I'm guessing is the exciting part for the students or the participants watching. Since this is a part where you can actually get to interact a little bit with our students, some that are currently undergraduates and some that are currently postgraduates. And so while I'm talking, can the student panelists please unmute yourselves, or not necessarily unmute, but just show your screens, turn on the camera so that we can see you. Just wait a little. Okay. While we get some spotlights on the various participants, so I'll for now start with, so I'll already pose a question and then I'll direct the question to each of our students, and then you can answer as you see fit. So at the moment I only see Louise and Azar. I'm hoping the others also not pitch, but that I can see them. So for now, let me just, there we go. we have Shanae and Chloe. And I'm not sure if there's another. Anyway, that's enough for now to start. Right, so welcome you guys. I want to ask you, can you please introduce yourselves, and then as part of that introduction, please explain to me what is the focal areas that you did or currently doing, and why did you choose Stellenbosch University? So Louise, I'm going to start with you, since you are the first person on my screen now. So over to you.
Hi, sorry, it was cold, so I had to get into bed with my cat. I'm a PhD student. I am working in weed science under Shanae, and I work with herbicide-resistant weeds. So it's not the weeds like the cannabis that people smoke. It's kind of like a long step when you're like, hi, I'm doing a PhD in agronomy. They ask what's agronomy, and then you have to explain that. Then you say weed science, and then you explain that it's just things that grow in the field. And then I say ryegrass, and it's not the rye that you make bread with. It's something else. So that's what I do. For undergrad, I did agronomy and entomology, which was actually really nice. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. All right, Azar.
Oh, yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Zaruddin Sheikh. I did my undergraduate in plant and soil science with the triple major that you've seen in economics, animal science, and agronomy. I found that quite nice. I did see someone's question asking about what advice you would have to start if you wanted to start a farm. And my advice is, if you have no knowledge, take this course, because it gives you a broad overview of what you would need in a farm. Anyways, right now I'm doing my master's in agronomy, focusing on intercropping, which is planting 2 crops in the same area. What was the question? I forgot.
That's fine for now. Just an introduction and what you did. So we'll get back to some more questions. Thank you. All right, Shanae.
Hello. I did my degree in soil science and horticulture. I really enjoyed it. And currently I'm doing my master's degree in soil science combined with horticulture in the citrus industry. Yeah, I don't know what I need to answer more.
No, that's perfect. I just want an introduction so that the people watching at least have sort of an idea of who they are listening to at the moment. All right, Chloe.
Hi everyone, my name is Chloe Fringer and I'm actually still in my undergraduate degree. I'm in my final year, halfway through my final year, and I'm majoring in plant pathology and entomology.
Very cool. And Notkolo. You can unmute yourself. Okay, it seems like we have lost Miss Mzila. All right. So looking back, maybe I can quickly pass the ball back to our postgraduate students, and then we can move back with the undergraduate. Is there anything or any thing that you wish you had known before you started this degree? Anything that advice that you wanted to receive that you maybe didn't receive that would have informed a better decision, or just tell me a little bit about that. I'll go with Louise again.
Undergrad was so long ago. Thinking back, I know I was a bit stubborn because I already had a degree from UCT in a BCom, which was a mistake because money isn't tangible and it made me depressed. And then I came to do agriculture and it was so much better. Like I really enjoyed it, especially the sciences. I would say don't put yourself in unnecessary positions. So I thought, okay, well, let me do the hard maths because I'm cool. And I really didn't need to. I could have just stuck with maths bio and my life could have been easy. I hadn't done trigonometry in 6 years and I had to try to remember the rules. So it was a nightmare. So just be kind to yourself and just do what you need to do, but at the same time, don't think, oh, because I was good at this in high school, I should totally do this here. Sometimes it's not wise. Sometimes you should just take a step back and just do what needs to be done, and don't try conquer the world in one go.
All right. Azar, do you have anything that you wish you had known before you started the degree?
I wish someone would have told me to talk to more people. Yeah, because I'm finding it quite rewarding at this point that that I've talked to people before, and I feel like if I talk to more people before in first year, second year, third year, it would have been a bit more beneficial to me at this point.
That's very good advice. I hope the attendees listen to that. Okay, Shanae.
So actually, to research your degree before you apply. So I went in blindly and I didn't know actually what I was going to do in the degree. But as I go along, it was actually so nice. I fell in love with everything. So it turned out good, but that would be my main thing. There is you can adjust to different subjects at some stages, but do your research before you apply to agree.
Good advice. Chloe, do you have anything that, I know you're not done yet, but is there anything that you wish you had known before you started?
I think especially with how much pressure I put on myself in matric, there's this pressure to make the right decision as you're leaving school. And I know I was very worried entering university. Am I going to the right university? Am I going into the right field? Am I even passionate about what I'm doing? And I should say that I have changed my majors 3 times in the course of my undergraduate degree because I didn't enjoy it. I started out with soil science and chemistry. Soil science was not the problem. Chemistry was for me. I'm not a natural chemist. And then I went into agronomy, and that's when I was more introduced into the plant doctors and your entomologists, who are the people that study agricultural insects, and I fell in love with that. So it took me a lot of time to figure out what I actually wanted to do. So if anything, I would say to the matrics or people that are entering university, take that pressure off of yourself, because it is so easy to change and to change your mind and to do more research and speak to people that can really influence in where you land up or which degree you end up with. So yeah, definitely, if I can put in basic terms, it's not that deep. Everything is reversible. Everything can be changed. It's going to be so fine.
Can I add on to that?
Yes, please. I just wanted to say, I know a few of your stories, so I wanted to say if anyone wants to cut in there, please do.
Because I see it all the time at all the open days, and you have the parents and you have this kid with deer in headlights. I need to know what I'm doing with my life at 18. It's no, you don't. The big secret to university is get in. Once you're in, you have time to actually find yourself and figure out what you want to do. If you hate it and it's the end of the year and you've hated everything that year, maybe it's not for you. If that's what the rest of your life, definitely change. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to be like, oh, you took 7 years to get an undergrad. I mean, not that I took 7 years, but it did take a while. But, when you change, it happens. It's not the end of the world.
That's very good advice. Anyone else wants to add?
No. I can add. Or
yes,
something.
Please add.
So you mentioned the ECP. I think when I started, it was the EDP program. So I did that. At first it was really hard to get my head around it. I need to continue longer than everyone else, and I'm not that smart because you're on the EC program, but it doesn't count. It's really not that bad. It actually helps by splitting your first year and your second, or the first year in ECP and your first year. So it makes your life a lot easier to adapting to the university lifestyle and classes and everything.
Yeah. I think if I can add on to that, can you maybe elaborate a bit on the difficulties that you experienced initially when you started university, and how did you overcome that or adapt to, I mean, coming from sort of a protected environment in matric, and you're maybe still living with your parents, and how did that adjustment from matric to university go, and how did you manage that?
I will go first.
Yes.
So, for me, it wasn't quite that. I didn't need to adapt that much, but I feel like it gave me a bit more freedom to schedule my own time. I'm fine with that. I know some people don't like that. They need to be like given a time schedule and everything, but for me, it was fine. The workload was a lot, but you learn how to manage. I told someone the other day, in your first year, you like find yourself in how to manage your own time. By the end of the first year, if you don't, sure, shame. You need to get your stuff right in your first year. And after that, it will be fine. You will get your stuff done.
All right. Can I, Louise, I'm going clockwise again. Do you want to?
So the first time when I left home for the first degree, that was chaotic. But I discovered I had ADHD, which turns out most women only get diagnosed later on in life. So if you found yourself doing really well in high school but suffering at university, it may not be your fault. You may just need some medication. So that's interesting to discover. Doing laundry and having to cook was fascinating. Still can't cook. And I'm PhD now, so that says a lot. It's been a long journey, and I still eat canned soup, but the laundry is a lot better. So that's something I recommend everyone learns how to do. Yeah, so that's about it. And then yeah, studying the library. You have to go there. You have to sometimes just do that for the stereotypical things.
Yeah, but good to mention. Yes, please, Azir.
Yeah, so I think I was saved from my first year because it was 2020 and there's COVID. So I was dipped in university and then taken out back home. And then I was like, okay. And I went to my mother and I'm like, these are the skills I need, teach me. So my suggestion to the matrics of now is please learn recipes from your mother so that you're not starving next year.
Canned soup is fine in the McDonald's.
No.
Like,
Canned soup is not fine.
Chloe, do you want to add something?
Sure. I think the only thing that I can really say that I struggled with in my first year, but I'm still struggling with it now. I don't want to say that I've quite overcome it, is the ability to ask for help. I am a person that likes to do everything myself. And the saying goes that if you want it done properly, you do it yourself. And I've lived by that. But especially in university, I don't think a lot of students understand how many support structures are in place that are so underutilized. So if people are ever struggling, I would highly recommend visiting the CSCD, which is the Center of Student Counseling and Development. Visit the Center of Student Life and Learning. Go to the equality units because there are people that it's their job to help you. So I definitely would recommend people making use of that more often. But yeah, I have gotten better.
So maybe I can link onto that again, in the sense that how was the workload? So I can start with you, Chloe, since you're currently in the thick of things, I guess. How was the workload of an undergraduate degree? And maybe linking onto that because I've heard a few of you mention talking to people. How do you experience the approachability of the lecturers? So workload and then linking that to asking for help and the approachability of specifically the lecturers within your disciplines.
Sure. I will say that I probably irritate a lot of my class members because I am that student that puts up their hand the minute before class is going to end because I must ask a question. I am also the person that really gets to know the lecturers, and I would also highly recommend that. Introduce yourself to the lecturers. Make sure that they know your name, know your face, because the minute that happens, the gap between us and them seems much closer. And they're so willing to help you if you ask for help. Like I said, the ability to ask for help is so necessary. But the workload in general, it is much more than matric. I don't think anyone's walking into university expecting it to be a walk in the park. We all had that preconceived notion. But if you have the appropriate time management skills and structures in place, it's really not that bad. I think the most important thing is not necessarily the workload, but how disciplined are you as a person? And those are the skills that you can really harness in matric. You don't have to wait till university to start harnessing those skills. I was a person that really struggled with coming into university and not having someone to tell me now. And it caught up to me in the end. So I would definitely say already try and work on those skills because it's not the workload's fault. The workload is a lot, but it's so manageable if you have those structures in place. And then ask lecturers. Lecturers are genuinely so willing to help you, and they're so willing to provide you additional opportunities if you ask them. The amount of lectures I've gone to and said that I want to get into postgrad, how can I do so? And they say, oh, come help me in the labs. We need extra set of hands. And people are so willing to teach you the skills that you need to get where you're wanting to go, but they can't read your mind. You need to ask. But yeah.
That's very valuable advice. Thank you very much. Can I open that to the rest of you postgrads who've gone through that process? How was the workload, the approachability, and maybe linking on to what she said about asking for assistance or you're just asking for the things that you want or where you want to pursue your career further?
Yeah, so I found the workload was quite tough because, well, Shanae knows this and she has to hear this again. I'm so sorry for the millionth time, but I didn't actually do science in high school. So I was at the end of my degree at UCT and I was emailing around and I was like, I really want to do this, but for some reason my government school told me not to do science. How do I do this? And they were like, okay, well, if you can do a little bridging course and pass, we'll let you in. And they did. So I had to learn science basically from scratch. And that was very, very hard, but I managed. There were times where I would rock up in my pajamas because, you hadn't slept enough before. But that was just because learning from scratch. So I'm sure if someone's done the work before, it's not that bad, but it is something you can do. And I passed all my first year courses. So I found like a lot of people do end up struggling with it, but it's not, as Kay was saying, it's not the workload. It's learning how to manage yourself and be disciplined with yourself and to get it done. And the thing with the lecturers is like, I'm not so sure if it's still a thing because, as I said, it's been a while since undergrad. But I remember in high school, they're like, oh, your lecturer is not going to care. And you must call them all doctor and all the scary stories. And it's so not true. Your lecturers are like, hi, my name's John. These are my cats. I'm married. Call me for a cup of coffee. Like, they are so chilled. Well, agronomy people are. I mean, we're just a cool faculty, so that's true. But yeah, and same thing with agronomy. We love getting people to help us. I remember from third year, I was going out every week doing field work with one of the postgraduates, and it was amazing getting to bunk classes because I'm bad at that, and standing in a field watching sheep running around. It was really, really pretty. It was lots of fun, and you get paid.
Bunk classes. That's bad advice.
It was just a 1 day a week. It was a 1 day a week, and it was I did really well in that class. It was COVID. Like, I just watched the thing afterwards.
That's an excuse. All right. Thank you, Louise. Azar, can I go to you? How was the workload for you, and then the approachability of lecturers?
Workload in my first year I was a bit overwhelmed because whenever I attended lectures, it was sort of a thing of like, they'll say, oh, the car runs on diesel. And the next thing you know, you're in the textbook and you're looking at all these gears and pulleys and things, and they're showing you the axle of the car and things like that. And then you're like, what the heck? So I was just a bit overwhelmed. I think just attend lectures and you should be fine in first year. And then second year, third year, you'll forget things like questions and past papers and the notes, and you enter discussions with your colleagues, and then you get a grasp of what needs to be known. What was the second question? Sorry.
The approachability of the lecturers.
Oh yeah, agronomy was quite nice. I think for me, it just depended on how the lecturers dressed. So it is a weird thing. So in animal science, they dressed quite animal sciencey. And in economics, they dressed quite in like business suit attire, formal attire. So they were quite hard to approach. But once I did approach them, they were friendly enough. Economy was so nice. Yeah. So that I figured that that's what we're talking about. So I'll keep it to agronomy is like they were quite good.
Right. Shanae?
So the workload, you will be up until 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes doing your TATs or studying for a test, but there will come times where you do sleep early and you can manage your time. So the workload isn't that bad. You just need to know how to manage your time, and for the how to communicate with your lecturers. Oh, the agriculture department, I think I have the best lecturers. Like all of them are so nice. Like really, I can't complain. Like they have like this, or some of the lecturers have like the open door policy. You can just walk in, ask the question. If you're struggling, you can just ask them. So no, I don't have a problem with that. So yeah.
That's very good to hear. Thank you very much. All right, so maybe let's switch gears and I'll ask you, what is your prospective careers? What are you hoping to do when you're done with what you're studying at the moment? Let's start with Chloe again.
Sure. So this is actually quite a heated question for me because I've had to ask myself this so many times. As we've seen in the beginning of the seminar, is that there's so many career options. So it becomes a thing of, okay, here's everything out in front of me. I know I can do all of this, but now which one do I want to do? I think that's also why I chose the combination of majors that I did. So not a lot of people do the combination of plant pathology and entomology without realizing that they're actually quite closely interlinked. A lot of plant diseases are caused by insects that put the diseases on the plant initially. So I really hope to go into plant pathology. I want to be a plant pathologist, but also I want to possibly research more about the interaction between different insects and different fungal pathogens. That's something that really, really interests me. A lot of the time, my mentor that's helping me do my research project, my fourth year research project, she has to tell me, Chloe, you're doing it in plant pathology, forget about the insects. And I say, no, I want to keep remembering about the insects. It's so ingrained in me now. So I'm still trying to figure it out, but probably research and plant pathology.
Beshamai?
So currently doing my master's, so there's still the opportunity for a PhD. So I'm still deciding if there will be an opportunity for that. And then sticking into the research, I quite like it, but otherwise I do like the outdoors. So I will continue in something that do consulting in soil or in fruit quality or anything like that. But yeah, for now, we're just continuing with our masters.
Focusing on finishing the masters. All right, Azor.
Actually, also not sure, but I'm hoping to be in the industry. Hopefully this year, next year, and I'm not sure what, but I think an agronomist. And yeah, when people ask you what does an agronomist do, and then you're like, they deal with fertilizer and seeds, and then they're like, what does that mean? And you're just like, okay.
100%. Louise, do you have any prospects?
Well, I'm here to work with you. Remember that postdoc we spoke about in January? Is that still on the table? Because I like what I do. Yeah, definitely research, because it's like because Shanae and I work with weeds, and it's like I work in a lot more of the chemical side of things, but I don't like the chemical companies in the sense that like, will they let me, like, how do you get funding to be like, hi, I want to prove your product doesn't work anymore? So it's definitely something that will have to be a bit more on the research side, and like
Yes.
agronomy is really cool, and Shanae's building this whole like weed science like institution, so it's like it's gonna be big. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, that's good. Before, because I see the meeting, we are a little bit running late. I want to one last question before we hand over for Q&A from well, handle from the chat box, I guess. I want to ask how practical was the experiences that you got during undergrad, and how applicable is that doing what you're doing currently, or how do you see that fitting into practice where you want to go? So whatever you now explained, and how can you use those experiences from undergrad, and was it applicable going into your future? So I'll go again, Chloe, as you are again currently busy with it. Are you enjoying the practicals that you're experiencing? Yeah, just tell me a bit about that.
Sure, because I've had a dabble in each of the departments in agri-science, I've definitely had a broad scope of the practical work that we have. I'm going to speak mostly on plant pathology because that's the department that I most resonate with and I spend most of my time with. And I actually said, I want to say a few weeks ago before one of our class tests, is that the Department of Plant Pathology really focuses and I want to say, excel in the fact that the practicals really booster the theoretical work that you learn in the classroom. So a lot of the time I'm going to be writing my test and I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this under the microscope because I did it in the practical the week before. And it really helps you remember that work because you're getting to both see it and memorize it. And I know the department itself, I want to say not just agri-science and plant pathology, are really, really great at sharing different opportunities that are available in the industry. We're forever getting emails saying that there's this industry opportunity for internships and there's this company that's looking to provide bursaries for work after you're done studying, which I don't hear a lot about other faculties at this institution. So I can say that I think our faculty really excels in promoting that practical experience and also helping us reach industry. Industry seems so far away and we don't know how do we apply for a job and how do we speak to these people that have these incredible jobs in the industry. But our department really does help us in the fact that they will share us the flyers, they'll share us the posters, and we're given the practical skills that they require for a lot of these jobs. So like we are very employable. We are the employer's choice because we have the skills. We don't need to learn it when we get there, which I don't think a lot of faculties are able to say for themselves.
Wonderful. All right, Shanae, again, do you have anything to comment?
Yes, no, our practicals, sure, it was actually quite nice. Like I was a COVID baby, so in my second year and third year we had COVID and we weren't able to go on practicals, but I feel like the lecturers did like the they went the extra mile because even in COVID we went to some external forums and did some not research, but we looked around and the guy told us everything. And I feel like that also speaks for the lecturers. They also they go the miles for us as students. And practical in soil science, sure, it's quite nice, but hectic. You need to carry loads of sand and soil and everything. And for horticulture, it's a broad spectrum. Like you do like fruits, flowers. Oh no, it's really nice. I did enjoy that the most for this whole degree, the practicals.
That's very good to hear. Azar, maybe you can say something about it and maybe also elaborate a bit on assisting postgraduate students. So how did that experience assist in your understanding the practical side of the science?
So in my first year, we did a lot of lab work, and that gives you basis of what to judge your other experiments on, or the other lab works and field trials that you do. And then after that, you go on a lot of excursions. It's quite out there the agri-science is not indoors, it's there. So they take you out or they bring people in. It's quite nice like that. I remember in animal science for like one whole semester, every Friday, our practical sessions were just lecture from the industry, and they'd come and they'd do like fun stuff, and it was quite nice. And then we'd also go to farms for the next semester. We went to farms every Friday. We'd just be going to farms. It was quite nice. And in agronomy, there's a lot of field work. So postgraduates do field work where they go out and they sort of take samples or soil samples, harvest samples, grain samples, things like that. And as an undergraduate, you get the opportunity to work with them. And this gives you live experience that you can sort of see what they do. And if you choose to go further, you can use that. It will definitely help you further on in life.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you very
that's
much.
me. I was a reverse COVID.
Yes.
My was in year 3 and 4. So that's when I joined the agronomy. They have a technical assistance group, and I did a lot of field work, hence the bunking of classes on Wednesdays. But I was chatting to another PhD student, and I was like, I no longer volunteer for these things because I've done everything. I've done the plant populations, I've done the biomass. And I remembered, I told her I hadn't done soil sampling, but I totally had. And that was in a really difficult place where the soil was like this deep and it was hard. And I've done all that. So even though with what I do, I technically work in a glass house and that's about it. And I don't have to go outside, which is great because I'm allergic to most things. But I have done everything. So yeah, you have all of that. And that's not what you get in other places. But I've done it all. Yeah.
Yes. That's wonderful. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I don't want to send you off just yet. Monica or Precious, who is going to handle the Q&As? And do you want us to keep the students panelists here or?
Shanae, most of the questions in the chat has been answered as we went through the day. There's some of them coming in. Would it be possible to get into BSc Plant and Soil Science if you did not do physics in high school? And the answer is unfortunately no. At Stellenbosch, because you start with chemistry, physics, mathematics, you need that. You can consider the BA Agric program offered at Elsenburg Agricultural College or Training Institute that is 10 kilometers outside of Stellenbosch. Yeah, all the others I think we have. Thank you very much for colleagues and students that have answered it. So perhaps this one from Leandri. She's really wondering whether she should go into science or in the applied science. She asks her, if I pursue a career in agricultural sciences, oops, and there the question jumps. Let me quickly get that back. So if I pursue a career in agricultural science instead of biological sciences, will I also be equipped with more skills to start my own business in research? Shanae.
Oh goodness, I'm not sure if I'm qualified enough to answer that question. In terms of skill and with regards to whatever business it is that you're looking to start, I think that is also something that you need to answer. But a lot of skills, as you've heard from the students, from the various colleagues, that you will learn in the agricultural sectors. And so I think depending on what it is that you want to do, the triple major or the dual major between crop production and agricultural economics is an amazing thing because it gives you both a science, agricultural science background together with economics and agricultural economics side. So I don't necessarily have any information regarding the biological side of things, but I can speak from our side. But I see Prof. Swanepoel has his hand up, so perhaps I can give over to you.
Yes, Shanae, no, I think you've answered well. I think maybe I can just add my 2 cents, and I think the undergraduate curriculum in applied science will give you lots of opportunities to also link or align it with your interests. in an applied way. And then typically after your BSc degree, either with an MSc or, for instance, a MBA or whatever, you can then also, depending on your career endeavors or your career choices, you can then also choose to perhaps do a project, gain more project management skills through a typical master's, for instance, that we offer, and so on. And those skills that you will gain then can give you then the opportunity to start your own business or whatever it is. Very often, our students in the applied fields of agriculture will first work in industry, gain some experience, and then identify gaps and to start their own businesses. So, but there's certainly in the applied field lots of opportunity to do your own thing and consultation and so on.
Yes, Shanae, I think we are losing some of the participants. So I think because all the questions have been answered as well, I think you can close.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much to our student panelists. I think you've answered amazing questions. Not amazing questions. I think you gave amazing answers to the questions. So thank you very much. I hope that also gave the prospective students a good idea of what they can expect. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to all the prospective students who joined us this evening, or even if it's teachers or parents. I hope you also gained some information that you would have wanted. Please reach out to us. We are a kind bunch and we like sharing information and helping. So reach out to any of us if you have any additional questions. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening and sleep well and stay warm in this cold weather. Bye-bye.